coming. Good evening. Welcome to our Municipal Council agenda for Tuesday, May the 16th, 2023. I'd like to welcome everyone and call this meeting to order at this time. I would ask if there are any declarations of interest from members of council. Seeing none, I will move along to the land acknowledgement statement. The town of East Gwillimbury recognizes and acknowledges the lands originally used and occupied by the First Peoples of the Williams Treaty First Nations and other Indigenous peoples, and on behalf of council, I thank them for sharing this land. We also acknowledge the Chippewas of Georgina Island First Nation as East Gwillimbury's closest First Nation community, and recognize the unique relationship the Chippewas have with the lands and the waters of this territory. They are the water protectors, environmental stewards of these lands, and we join them in these responsibilities. Prior to proceeding with the deputation portion of this evening's agenda, I will share some procedural comments with respect to the manner in which deputants have been instructed to speak at tonight's meeting. In accordance with the town's procedure bylaw, individuals wishing to speak about an item currently placed on the agenda have been advised to submit their formal deputation request by the applicable deadline, which was Friday, May 12th at noon. Deputations are limited to 5 minutes, and I'll ask that individuals respect the time provided to them. In addition, to be respectful of everyone here tonight and to maintain a positive environment, I ask all meeting participants to refrain from engaging in discourteous and inappropriate behavior that would negatively affect the council deliberations. This includes verbal outbursts, clapping, or other activities that would disrupt tonight's meeting. On behalf of council, I thank those who are attending here tonight and for your interest in the town's business. As council members, we are elected to represent our community. We encourage positive and respectful dialogue and look forward to hearing your deputations as part of this process. With that, I will now go through the deputation list and invite individual deputants to come forward to the podium. The first person that I would invite to the podium would be Tom Horsley. Good evening. Good to have you with us tonight.
Good evening. Good to see everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'll get started. Good evening, Mayor Haxon, councilors, town staff, fellow neighbors across EG. I'm Tom Horsley, EG resident for 12 years. I have thoroughly researched the concern raised by residents at a recent council meeting regarding our strategic plan. I am here today in full support of our strategic plan, and here's why. In 2009, I purchased a rural property in Queensville. At that time, I selected the location because it would be under 5 minutes to the new 404 extension and approximately 5 minutes to all the new amenities the town had planned for Queensville. For both resale purposes and convenience, having a highway and new amenities within 5 minutes was important. For the first 7 years, I commuted for work 50 kilometers each way. Lots of fun. It kept me from experiencing all of what EG had to offer on a regular basis. Now, this part wasn't in my deputation, but I'm sure you wouldn't take it out. My house never felt like a home. Approximately 5 years ago, I moved to a new job that allowed me to work from home. That was the beginning of when my house finally became my home. I joined North Union Community Group and met a very friendly bunch of volunteers. It was such an amazing experience that I next joined as a volunteer with EG Parks, with Aaron's group. I again met with more friendly volunteers and began to meet and interact with our supportive and friendly town staff and town council. Building again on another amazing experience, I joined the new Queensville Sharon Community Group as chair. Yes, amazing again. So I joined the farmers market. Yes, amazing. Over the last 5 years, I have watched hours and hours of council meetings. I was watching and listening to town staff and council very closely, and I may say very closely. For anyone who has not had the opportunity to follow what has been going on, I'll fill you in. When a developer wants to build homes but not provide enough parking spaces, enough room for snow removal, or enough room for our amazing fire department, council always points out these important problems because residents have complained in the past about the same problems. Thank you, council and town staff. Each year, the town budget is produced and everything is examined in great detail. We are the envy of likely every municipality in this province. Our municipality is financially strong, and all of our residents will benefit now and well into the future. Thank you, council and town staff. When commercial developers want to build new commercial properties, our council guides the developers to make sure we get the best mix of jobs that will benefit a wide variety of EG residents now and in the future. Thank you, council and town staff. I can go on, but here's a really good one. A few years ago, a group of entrepreneurs moved into our family-based rural communities. They rapidly started several operations in an industry that had been well known to police for its links to gun smuggling, human trafficking, and dangerous drugs. What did our council and town staff do? They acted, of course, in the best interests of EG and its residents. We no longer have those threats. Thank you. By the way, other municipalities who experience the same problem were reaching out to EG to learn more about how we were able to successfully solve this serious problem, a problem that our province and federal government were sadly unable to solve for us. Thank you, council and town staff. By getting actively involved in the community, I had the opportunity to meet and interact with town staff and council on a regular basis and get to know them well. By taking an active interest in what is going on in all of EG and not just in my backyard, I have learned so much. As a result, I'd like to believe I have a fully informed opinion. My support for the strategic plan is based on years of interactions with town staff and council and hundreds of hours of council meetings. Thank you, council and town staff, for making important decisions that provide the best quality of life both now and in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Could I have a motion to receive, please? Councillor Crone, Councillor Crothers, all those in favor? That's carried. The second name I have is Linda Holmes, making a deputation to council regarding F1 Committee of the Whole Recommendation CWC2023-058 Administration Report 2023-02 Adoption of Strategic Plan. Welcome. Good to have you with us tonight.
Thank you very much, Mayor and town councilors. My name is Linda Margaret. I am here through the person, as mentioned in Genesis 14, verse 21. I am here through the Son. I am the executor and the beneficiary of the estate that was created by the Ontario Corporation of Ontario. They assigned to me a legal last name with the name of Home, H-O-M-E, which is subsequently changed to Holmes, H-O-L-M-E-S. I am the executor of that, and through that, I'm standing here declaring that through the agent is notice to the principal, and through the principal is notice to the agent. And what I am looking at are a couple sections that you have presented in the strategic plan. And what I would like to know is, your claim is that you have the rights over the land, and I'd like proof of those claims. And what I mean by that is I would like to know what this is based on, which language it is based on, which Styles manual was used, and which dictionary was used. And the reason I'm asking that is because in the Canadian Styles manual, English is one capital, and the rest of the letters are all lowercase. There is no exception in this manual for anything other than one capital, all lowercase. When I look at your strategic plan, I see all capitals. That is not English, according to this styles manual and many styles manuals. So what is it? According to the Chicago Styles Manual of English, the Chicago Styles Manual, what is the all caps? And I'm just going to point to references because I'm referencing everything I say. In the Chicago Styles Manual, version 17, page 665, it says, it's under the glosses, it's under the foreign languages, and it's under the American Sign Language, which is ASL. What a glossa is, it's a spoken word transferred to a written word. And in the case of the sign, the language that it is transferred to is in all caps. So as an example, the strategic plan is transferred to all caps. But in order for this to read something, the strategic plan, it must have a hyphen beside it to be considered a language. And that language, I'll show you that, but one of the obvious limitations of the uses of glosses, which is what I just showed you, is there is no one-to-one correspondence to that gloss. Meaning that under Black Laws 5, I have to print it bigger so I can read it without glasses. A glossa, in order to be written into a text, has to be in the margin or on the bottom. It cannot be included in the text. So what that means is that glossa, this is another definition, and I can't read it because my education did not teach me. Glossa vepanera SK cordet, whatever. It is a poisonous gloss, which corrupts the essence of the contract or the text. So anything in this document that is included in the text is not English. It is a corruption of English. So what is it? It is considered, according to Black Laws 5, the hyphenated is Dog Latin. And Dog Latin is the Latin of illiterate persons. It is a Latin word put on the English grammatical system. And what it is based on a debased language. It is
Linda, excuse me, could you just wrap up? I'm going to give you just another little bit of time, but you're on the edge right now.
Okay. Well,
Thank
I am
you.
telling you, or suggesting, that this is not English. This is not English. And when it is not English, it is corrupt. I was trained to believe it was English. It is not English. So when it is inserted into a document that's teaching us that it is a document that we must follow, it is corrupt, and actually, it is deception, it is fraud.
Thank you very much. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Johns and Councillor LaHaye. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
The next person on the list is Warren English, making a deputation to council. Good evening. Nice to have you with us tonight.
Thank you, thank you. I believe mine is not going to be as complicated as the previous several, but it's very basic. Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. My name is Warren English. I have lived in Mount Albert for more than 10 years, probably 12 now. I've not been involved in any town surveys to my knowledge. I'm here today to voice my opinion and concern to the members of the council. I recently received this plan and noticed that there is no actual responses included in the from the residents. Only the residents or the references to them. I could not justify this in my mind, and the reasons to create this East EG strategic plan without seeing the ideas from other people in the area. For example, if I had seen 100 people asking for more public transit through Mount Albert in a survey, I would be understanding more and allow the proposal, proposal of the bus routes and stuff like that, number of bus routes. If there was 100 people asking for better cell service, I could see getting a cell tower. These would make sense. But without the data, I don't understand where this plan come from. I'm assuming there is documents and reports and surveys, available to the public, but I wasn't able to find any as of now. Like I have not a lot of time to respond and read through the research and stuff, right? So I have received written response from the council to my request for the details of the survey and comments. Unfortunately, the reply has hours and hours of video and many links to go through, which so far I have not produced the numbers I was looking for. I don't know if it will, though. I was only able to get a minimum amount of details which would help answer my concern. With the time I had to review all this material, the only pertinent information I found was in the body of the response, where I was told this: 28 survey replies, 2 deputations that were recorded, and the rest of the feedback was verbal by talking to residents during the election campaigning in the area. This is not a lot of feedback, as well as very vague. This doesn't seem to me like it would be sufficient enough to develop a plan of this scope for 68,000 residents. I think this information needs to be more easily available to residents to be able to justify the plan. But with the upcoming adoption meeting, there will be not enough time to do so. I am disappointed I haven't been made more aware of these plans by the town and what was happening sooner. So I have researched, so I could research and not have to ask this question. But I am hoping that there can be an extension to the adoption with additional opportunities to make more informed comments to this council if needed. I know this is a live plan, but if it is adopted, it will be harder to adjust afterwards if required. In watching council meetings, I do believe the council members are genuinely concerned with having the public in their best interest. I do appreciate the effort they put into their position, as well as the time to speak today. Thank you for this opportunity. Comments, concerns?
Thank you very much, Mr. English.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Foster, Councillor Roy DeClemente. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. The next person I have on my list is John Petejan. Good evening. Good to have you with us tonight.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council, and residents of East Gwillimbury. Thank you for allowing me to present this evening. I would like to start by thanking council in accommodating the residents of East Gwillimbury with this special meeting to help residents better understand the strategic plan. This council is set to ratify a plan without adequate feedback from the residents of East Gwillimbury. The residents of East Gwillimbury are not opposed to this strategic plan, but ask only for more clarity, detail, and transparency to better understand where taxpayers' dollars are going and to ensure that the residents receive programs and services accordingly. At first glance, this strategic plan is an attractive information brochure for Council's vision and objectives for the coming year term. The plan is colorful, inspiring, graphics, and full of text as a brochure should be. The plan is later placed into the official plan, where all the details and the actual projects have been budgeted, planned, and scheduled. This strategic plan fails, though. It fails because it doesn't protect the residents of East Gwillimbury. I've seen no changes to the plan since March 21st or May 2nd depositions I did. I was stated in the January 16 workshop, public engagement was critical to this plan. In reviewing the so-called public engagement, the feedback received by council was 27 replies from a population base of 38,000. Clearly, this didn't meet the criteria of threshold. So why would council proceed with this plan? In a day and a half of canvassing, we found residents that were not aware of the plan, but 130 names wanted to get engaged by signing up to our petition for a special meeting. With tens of millions of dollars at stake, higher feedback is vital. There is no mention of projects, plans such as the sewage project, the 40-kilometer speed limits, the White Belt Initiative, the 5G towers, just to name a few. The strategic plan follows the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, or 17 goals identified by the United Nations. Sustainability comes from the Rio Conference of 2012. Prior to that, it was never used. In 2015, the UN, along with the international lobbyist group called the World Economic Forum, adopted principles. In 2016, the Canadian federal government adopted the Sustainable Development Goals, and those are the facts. So why is a non-elected foreign group influencing our community? During the December 13th orientation workshop, a presentation slide showed the City of Ottawa, July 21, 2021 draft new official plan included 15-minute neighborhoods. This was a basic template used by multiple municipalities to introduce the 15-minute neighborhood. We trust our elected officials to ensure our communities is kept rich, vibrant, protected, while at the same time keeping our heritage, culture, and lifestyle prospering. The plan is clearly about economic growth. During Council's 3 workshops, the term 15-minute neighborhoods was raised to have been enshrined in the official plan for all new housing developments. The manager of the Parks Department and the operations said, "Queensville is a good example what a future 15-minute neighborhood will look like." Have you checked it? It's in the works now. 15-minute neighborhoods provides convenient, safe, friendly, everything within walking distance for the environment and helping reduce carbon footprint. I reviewed 3 council workshops, and only once the question was asked, what are the negative impacts of a 15-minute neighborhood? Business competition may be limited, meaning one grocery store, one coffee shop, might not be Tim Hortons, one school, one park, one hairdresser. You get the message? But what if someone needs something that's not there? Council replied, go to Costco once a month. In that case, why have 15-minute neighborhoods? Additional disadvantages such as isolation, the potential of rich and poor communities, homes, little to no green lawns, kids playing in the street, less park space, fewer choices for families. Development will increase house prices, causing low-income and first-time buyers out of the market. Oxford, England is the furthest along in the 15-minute neighborhood. Residents claim they are allowed 100 trips a year outside their neighborhood. Any more and they will require to buy a ticket, tax grab. This is monitored by LED streetlights and cameras. Photos are taken of license plates and fines are issued if found traveling outside the neighborhood. In a recent survey, Oxford residents voted 93% opposed to 15-minute neighborhoods. A further fear was the potential use of electronic tracking, camera, surveillance, and artificial intelligence built in neighborhoods led to protests.
Could
There is-
you wrap up, Pete? Are you pretty
Almost,
close?
I'm almost there,
Okay,
yep.
I'll let
There
you go
is-
ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There is no checks and balances associated with this plan to protect and ensure the details are in taxpayers' best interests. A clause must be added to ensure the safety of residents. History repeats itself time and time again. Prime Minister Sir Wilfrid Laurier said, income tax was only a temporary thing. Premier Doug Ford said, we'll never build on the Oak Ridge Moraine. And we believed them. We will hold this council accountable, as there is no accountability in this plan. Just a blank check. In today's challenging times, clarity, detail, and transparency is vital. If this is lost, this strategic plan is unsustainable. This plan must contain clauses that protect the people now and in the future. Failure to do so is a failure of this council. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Johns, Councillor Crothers. All those in favor? And that's carried. Barbara Everett? Good evening. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Haxon and members of council and residents of East Gwillimbury. After being in the audience at the chamber on March 21st council meeting, I saw the drafts of what East Gwillimbury is planning for 2022 to 26 strategic planning. There wasn't very much detail as far as I saw, and I then read your website in more detail, which became concerning to me, and I needed more clarity. I did take the time to listen to the speakers as well as the replies from council that took place on May 2nd. It seemed to me that there were quite a few questions from residents that did not have answers to, and the council unanimously voted to move ahead, except for one councillor, with no extension to change anything, saying that they did have feedback already from previous workshops and when you were, canvassing for your positions as councillors. So that, to me, was a bit disappointing because I saw the amount of people sitting around and so many questions unanswered. And it really did concern me that if you are counselors that care about us, that although there is a lot of time and effort that's been put into this, that there will be an extension, I hope, for more questions. I'm kind of getting mixed up here, but
Take your time. Take your
thank
time.
you. So I wanted to attend the council meeting on May 2nd, but only heard about it last minute. And for this meeting tonight, if it wasn't for a few helpful friends, I really could not find it on your website. I looked for the date and the time. I looked for tonight's meeting that I needed to, wait, hold on, sorry. I could not find on your website the date and time for tonight's meeting that I needed to attend to follow up on the outcome of the petitions that were a part of the action that I took to ask residents about their concerns and if they were okay with the plans that you were putting in as far as the strategic planning. And I was really surprised when I went around and talked to a lot of the residents, because I don't do this. I don't like doing it. I have done it in the past, and I never find that it's relaxing. I never find that it's enjoyable. It's usually a lot of different opinions about things, diverse opinions, and from different backgrounds with different ways of thinking. So it wasn't something I really wanted to do, and I didn't really think that it was going to be a good outcome. But it was. And I honestly was very surprised at the amount of people that wanted to know more. I only went with someone else. I went with someone else. We went to 40 houses. 10 of them probably didn't answer their doors. But everyone else answered their door. They came out, they spoke to us, and we talked to them about this strategic planning, and they had no idea what it was. And we engaged, and there was pleasant conversation, and they signed the petition, 25 out of these 40, which probably there was really like 30 that we talked to. There was only 3, 2 said they knew about the strategic plan, all the rest said they had no idea what it was about, and where did they find out about it? And so we had a good conversation, and they did sign the petition, which is, to me, evidence in the small area that we did go to that people are concerned because they don't have clarity and there's not transparency. Parents with young children were also concerned of many things, including schools. Young children being bused to schools at early hours, out of the neighborhood, which is kind of different because we want to be inclusive in the neighborhood. But a lot of them are being bused out of the neighborhood, young kids, at 7:30 in the morning. And, you know, these parents were like, this is ridiculous. Like, these kids are so young. So what schools are being built? Is there schools being built? So these things parents want to know as well. Also, the daycare at Vince's. I think that's a daycare that's being built there. It says it's early childhood education, so I'm assuming it's some kind of daycare. And I mean, this daycare, there's nothing around it. There's no green space. There's nowhere for them to play. All there is stores and a busy street on Leslie. This is what these young kids are going to be exposed to. To me, that is not thought out. So I'm not sure who planned that one, but that's only a small portion of the questions I think that residents need more answers to. And we're just asking for one more meeting. There seems to be...
Could you wrap up,
Sure.
please? Thank you.
There seems to be so many questions unanswered, and this petition is living proof that residents are not aware of what is to happen to the development in their community and would like more clarity and transparency into the steps and actions to be completed. How can we agree to something that has no clarity and no transparency? I mean, it's not fair to the residents, I don't think. Please make an exception. I know you've already come to your decision, but nothing is ever written in black and white, and I think there's always room to change your minds. There's never, you guys have, to me, a lot of power, and you are representing us. And we have packed this place for, I don't know, the last 3 meetings, maybe more, I'm not sure. So it shows that we're willing to take the time to show up here. It's easy to go onto a Zoom, and it's easy to just write a little email. I mean, it's not easy, that takes time too. But to actually take time and come here and show up, I think is worth your time. And I believe that you have seen over these last 2 weeks, your constituents need more answers. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor LaHaye, Councillor Foster. All those in favor? And that's carried. Be it resolved that the deputation made, sorry. We're done. Thank you. I have some closing remarks to share with all of you, and I can tell you that we take this very seriously. We take it very seriously that we have people in the audience that are here to share their ideas about the municipality, and I can assure you that there will be a lot of discussion regarding the amount of material that we have. I can tell you that everyone across here have been making notes tonight, and were the last time from conversations that you had with us. I've heard the deputations this evening. It is important that I provide some clarity to the strategic plan process, which continues to be under scrutiny. The strategic plan was developed based on a multi-level public feedback process, which began actually in late 2022, with 2 council workshops held in December. Process to develop the plan began in late 2022, with 2 workshops held here. Council workshops were also held in January and February, with a public meeting and presentation in March. A public consultation survey was launched in March for 1 month. This was fully advertised online and through the local newspaper. Giving consideration to all comments received from council and our community, the strategic plan was developed and presented to council for consideration on their May 2nd meeting. The entire process has been very transparent, and the participant of our community was welcome, and I can say very much appreciated, including this meeting today. I want to thank you all for your continued interest. As we shared previously, this is a high-level document that helps guide the development of an annual business plans for this 4-year term of council, and is considered a living document that can be revisited in any time and updated as needed. One of our last speakers spoke about schools being built. I want to make it perfectly clear that we do not build schools. We do not have any interest financially with schools. There is a Board of Education. Actually, there's 2, the separate school board and the public board. They choose the sites and they build them. We sometimes don't know for many months that a school is actually going in a corner in our community. I just want to make that clear, having been a former school board trustee, as well as Councillor Crothers as well has been a school board trustee. We did a lot of work with them when we got some new schools here in East Gwillimbury, and we continue to have input with them as well. With that, I would move along in the agenda. There are no presentations tonight. Committee recommendations is to adopt the Committee of the Whole recommendations from the meeting held on May 2nd, 2023. And if I could have Councillor Roy DiClemente and Councillor Johns move and second that. All in favor?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sorry.
I wanted to, I actually would like to pull one of the items. I'm just looking for the resolution here. CWC 2023-058, which is actually the strategic plan. So I'd like to pull that out for a separate recorded vote.
Thank you.
But I'm happy to move the others as
Yes,
well.
okay.
So that we can deal with those matters as well.
Thank you. So we'll pull that out and have a separate vote on that. Councillor Leahy, go ahead, please.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. I have a question before we do a vote on the strategic plan, and it's a follow-up question. With regard to it being a living document, and on page 11, the question I have is with regard to the regular progress reports that council and the community are able to ensure that the strategic plan continues to respond to what is most important to the town. I was wondering if you could provide an indication of when those reports or other future opportunities would be available for residents to provide feedback.
Madam Clerk, would you have a date for us?
Through you, Madam Mayor, perhaps I can ask General Manager Molinari if he would like to provide a response to that.
Certainly, through you, Madam Mayor. Typically, the town will report back once a year on the status of the strategic plan, and we can endeavor to do that.
Thank you. Yes, go ahead, please.
Further to Mr. Molinari's comments, I'd also like to note that virtually all of our staff reports that come to us have a section that state how that staff report aligns or does not align with our strategic plan. So it's taken care of from that perspective as well. What I would like to do, since we were, I don't want to slow our meeting down, I believe there was a motion on the table to adopt all of the CWC recommendations from May 2nd, with the exception of the recommendation regarding the strategic plan, and I'd like us to vote on that at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Through you, Madam Mayor. So in continuation to what Councillor Roy DeClemente was alluding to earlier, the item for strategic plan has been separated out. So currently, Council is just dealing with the recommendations from May 2nd. We will deal with the strategic plan second. So that item was moved by Councillor Johns, seconded by Councillor Roy DeClemente for adoption of the balance of the Committee of the Whole recommendation from May 2nd. So you would require a vote of Council for that.
Thank you very much. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you.
Now, second to that, Madam Mayor, is the adoption of the strategic plan recommendation. Councillor Roy DeClemente has requested for a recorded vote. That item's been moved and seconded by Councillor Roy DeClemente and Councillor Johns. And Councillor Roy DeClemente, how do you vote?
Yes?
Councillor Carruthers, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Crone, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Foster, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Haxton, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Johns, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Leahy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Through you, Madam Mayor, that motion has been carried unanimously.
Thank you very much. There are no presentations at this time under item E.
Through you, Madam Mayor, earlier this morning, earlier this afternoon at the Committee of the Whole meeting, there was a recommendation to adopt one of the properties in relation to, one of the Development Services report in relation to 8 Mill Street, and ratify that tonight. So that resolution has been prepared for Council's consideration from today's committee meeting.
Thank you very much, and that would be moved by Councillor Johns and seconded by Councillor Leahy. Is that correct? Thank you.
I'd like a recorded vote.
I'll read it out first before, is that, Madam Clerk?
Through you, Madam Mayor, if it's your wish to read it out, you certainly can. Councillor Roy DeClemente has requested for a recorded vote as well.
I'll turn it back to you as
Sure.
soon as I'm finished with it. Thank you. I want to make sure that everyone out in our audience sees where we're going and adopting. Be it resolved that Council adopt the Committee of the Whole recommendations from the meeting held on May 16th, 2023 as follows. Be it resolved that Development Services Planning Branch Report DS 2023-21 dated May 16th, 2023 entitled Request to Remove Property from Town's Registry of Culture Heritage Properties 8 Mill Street, Mount Albert be received, and that Council approve the request to remove 8 Mill Street from the town's Registry of Cultural Heritage Properties, and that the owner be required to pay the town's heritage removal request fee. Be it resolved that Council ratify the approval of the request to remove 8 Mill Street from the town's Registry of Culture Heritage Properties at the May 16th, 2023 council meeting.
Through you, Madam Mayor, this item has been moved by Councillor Johns, seconded by Councillor Leahy, and Councillor Roy DeClemente has requested for a recorded vote. Councillor Roy DeClemente, how do you vote?
No.
Councillor Carruthers, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Crone, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Foster, how do you vote?
No.
Mayor Haxton, how do you vote?
Yes?
Councillor Johns, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Leahy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Through you, Madam Mayor, that motion's been carried.
Thank you very much. I'm at the point of adoption of minutes to adopt the Committee of the Whole minutes from the meeting held on May 2nd, 2023, moved by Councillor Roy DeClemente, seconded by Councillor Foster. All those in favor? That's carried. The second item is to adopt the council minutes from the special meeting. Moved by Councillor LaHaye, seconded by Councillor Foster. All those in favor? And that is carried. And we have correspondence for consideration. Correspondence from East Gwillimbury residents dated May 4th, 2023 regarding a petition concerning Item F.1 Committee of the Whole Recommendation CWC2023-058 Administration Report, Adoption of Strategic Plan. And could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Roy DeClemente, Councillor Crone. Councillor, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Just before you call the vote, I
Yes.
just wanted to request or suggest that we add to our motion that not only that we receive, but that that each of the individuals that have signed that petition be provided a letter and a copy of our strategic plan that notes that it is a living document and that has all of our contact information at the bottom of that letter so that they can contact us with any questions or feedback. And once the final is printed, then they would be provided with that copy. That's a long motion, Madam Clerk, but I think you understand the gist of it. Thank you.
Do all members understand the gist of it? Yep. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. We are at Legal and Property Services bylaw to dedicate certain lands as public highway and to provide legal access West Sharon Holdings. Be it resolved that Legal and Property Services memoranda dated May 16th, 2023, entitled Bylaw to dedicate certain lands as public highway and provide legal access West Sharon Holdings, Inc., be received. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Crone, Councillor Crothers, all those in favor? And that's carried. We have no resolutions at this time, and we have a bylaw. We'll move all of them at the same time. Need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Roy DeClemente, Councillor Crone, all those in favor, and that's carried. And item L is our other business, and at this time we have no other business. Is there anything from members of council? Not seeing any, we will move to the confirming bylaw. Be it resolved that bylaw 2023-041, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council meeting held on May 16th, 2023, as being taken as read and acted and signed by the mayor and municipal clerk. Moved by Councillor LaHaye, seconded by Councillor Crothers. All those in favor? And that's carried. And an adjournment for this evening. My clock is saying 6:48. Moved by Councillor Crothers, seconded by Councillor Roy DeClemente. All those in favor? And that's carried. Our meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.